What's going on, people? It's Emmanuel for Altenor Media. Now, Netflix just released season 2 of 13 Reasons Why, and we're super hyped about it. I just watched episode 1, which was pretty good. Now, heading into season 2, we weren't sure if they would be able to pull it off by continuing Hannah's story, or if they would just even have to completely flip it and do a new story. But it looks like Hannah's story is being continued, and they seem like they pulled it off masterfully. So we should be in for a treat for the rest of the season. Anyway, I'm going to be reviewing each episode of the season. I'm going to watch it nice and slow. There's no reason to rush, even though all of the episodes are already out. We're going to take this slow and review each episode. So make sure to subscribe right now, please, and turn on your notifications, because I'll be adding reviews and reactions to the show, throughout the weekend and in the weeks after, whatever comes to my head. So anyway, let's get into episode 1, which was really good. So we begin 5 months down the line in the story, and we were wondering what would happen with the case of Ms. Baker versus the school. So now we find out that the trial is going forward. She's suing the school because they wanted to include in the settlement a non-disclosure agreement, which meant that I guess no one would be able to talk about, the details of the case or what happened with Hannah, but her mother wants her story to be told. So she rejected it, and now they're going to trial, and everyone is worried that they're going to be called in to testify, and that their actions towards Hannah will be revealed. So that's really the crux of the story. Everyone thought that it was going to be put behind them, but now that they find out that the trial is moving forward, everyone is worried again. So we start off with Clay. He's now dating Sky, and they go and get a tattoo. And a little interesting bit, when they were getting a tattoo, Clay got a little semicolon on his wrist, and it was just an odd moment when the guy was tattooing his wrist and Clay just fainted. It kind of took me back to when Hannah was cutting herself for some reason. So that was like a weird, interesting bit. And I think doesn't Hannah have a semicolon tattoo? I thought she did, but I might be wrong about that. So apparently Clay and Sky, they're in love. They tell each other they love each other, and they're about to get it on. But he finds out that she's been cutting herself. And he told her, you should call me. I told you to call me, when you have these urges or feelings. So I'm just kind of wondering, is Clay truly in love with Sky, or is he just trying to save her like he failed to do with Hannah, in his opinion? Because he's making the extra effort, and he's really he's communicating with her like we really haven't seen Clay do. He's really open with her. He's like checking on her. He's expressive with her, which is just a real shift for Clay. So then we find out that Alex isn't dead. He tried to commit suicide at the end of last season, but he survived. And now he has no recollection of the tapes or anything that happened, a month prior to his suicide. So he's really outside of the loop. So it'll be interesting to see, what his mind state will be when he finds out everything that he needs to know. And it seems like the people around him are trying to protect him. So Right now, he seems to be doing much better, but once he finds that out, it could be a whole different story. But him and Jessica have bonded. Jessica is recovering. She seems to be adjusting well. She's in control of her emotions, of seeing certain people don't really affect her outside, but it just could be her bottling up everything. You know, will everything just come out suddenly at some point? That'll be something interesting to look to. We see Bryce. Bryce is still Bryce. He doesn't give a damn. He just wants what he wants. He does what he wants. So there's really no change in Bryce whatsoever. He's just manipulative. He's using his money, his dad's power, and all of that stuff. So Alex and Jessica go back to school, and they go back to school together to give each other support. And we find out that the school has banned talk of Alex's attempted suicide and Hannah's suicide. If you talk about either of those, you get suspended. So it seems like they're just trying to move on and just forget about those things ever happening. And then we also find out first through Tyler that Hannah's suicide and Alex's attempted suicide didn't even really change the culture of the school. They're still cliquey, still full of bullying, intimidation. So our characters, our school, they still haven't learned their lessons, even through such turmoil and sadness. Nothing has changed. And we find out from Tyler that he and Hannah, they had a friendship that we didn't know about in the first season. They had just a nice, I guess, little friendship that was starting. Hannah noticed that the girls he was trying to take a picture of for the yearbook, they just brushed him off like he was nothing, and she let him take her picture, and then that ended up with him, doing a photo shoot with her, and they started, a nice little friendship, which went downhill when all of her bullying started. So that was really interesting to get, another side of that story. But onto that story, we find out that Hannah's mom is not as innocent, in her downward spiral as we thought. Because when Hannah was getting ready to go do her photo shoot with Tyler, her mother was telling her that, was criticizing her makeup, telling her, is it a photo shoot for a brothel? Basically telling her, her makeup, she looks like a slut, a prostitute, which would really just kill a young girl who's not, so confident. It would kill her confidence, kill her self-confidence completely. And that made her cry. So her mother's teasing made her cry, and she showed up at the photo shoot with Tyler just a mess, and he even noticed that she was crying. And her mother noticed that, and she remembered that. And later on, even when they were looking at the pictures together, Hannah and Miss Baker, the mother was telling her, no, I don't like too much chin in this picture. She was criticizing even those pictures. And you could tell Hannah's expression was just completely changed, and she was just sad, when her mother was telling her those things. And the mother, she thought nothing of it. When Hannah just said, she's gonna throw the pictures out. So the mother was just, she had no clue what she was contributing to, and she realizes it now. But even then, she tried to, she said that she always thought the pictures were beautiful, but she didn't say that. Why didn't you tell Hannah that when she was alive? So the mother, she's going through, the same thing that some of the other characters are going through. I could have done better. I could have done more. Some of this is my fault. So that's another new part of the story. And then we also find out that Hannah was sexting somebody after all of the scandal with the school, with her picture being sent around. She was sexting with somebody. Tyler caught her, or he was snooping and he saw her taking a picture and sending it to somebody. So it'll be interesting to find out, more about Hannah's, personal story. And interestingly, her mother is now seeing these things, and she's saying that now they're showing her someone she doesn't know. That just lets you know that even if you live with someone, you know someone, they could be your son or daughter, you don't really know that person fully. You're not with them 24/7. You're not in their thoughts, so you never really know someone fully, even if you're a close relative. So in this instance, Hannah's mother is kind of like the viewers, where now through stories, she's learning about Hannah. She's learning things about Hannah that she never knew. And she's kind of, she may be a little bit horrified. So that's real interesting, that, from the parental side, where she's learning secrets about her daughter. The same way we're watching the show, she's now learning secrets about her daughter from the trial, things that'll make her feel very uncomfortable, because that's not the Hannah that she knows. So and Alex finally got his suicide note. He basically told his mother, "Give me that damn note." And she gave him the note, and he read, "I could have stopped it." So we'll find out what exactly, what that means. And when he finds that out, how is it going to affect him going forward? Because even though he seems like he's recovered, this could probably set him over the edge. Then we get to the Polaroid. Now, the Polaroids are going to be the new tapes of this season, I'm guessing. So Clay gets a Polaroid from what looks like Bryce's friend and teammate on the baseball team. It shows a picture of Bryce with a girl, and on the back it says Hannah wasn't the only one. So we'll find out who else was maybe assaulted by Bryce. This could be a whole larger story, so that's another thing to look into. And this is going to send Clay over the edge. This is going to, because he's been kind of trying to lay back from the early parts of season 1, where he basically said, he hasn't thought about Hannah in 5 months. He just wants to move on with his life. But I think this is really going to push him back into the front of the story, and he's really going to push for justice and push for the end of Bryce. And then also we have Tony. Tony is now a part of this. Last season he was separate from the issue. He was just the messenger. Now he's in it all, because apparently he distributed the tapes for Hannah because he owes her. So we have to find out exactly what he owes her for. And Tony is nervous. So this is not the Tony that we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing just laid back, cool Tony who's just trying to, comfort Clay and keep things in order. But now Tony is scared. Tony is nervous as hell. So it'll be interesting to see where Tony's story goes also. Now let's point out that they made sure to emphasize how much power Bryce has in this whole thing, because the baseball field is being completely redone. They're adding scoreboards, paint jobs, really doing it up. So the baseball program seems like it's a huge deal. And Bryce said that scouts are looking out for him. So, and his dad was like heading everything. So it just shows how much power that Bryce has, and what whoever is going to try to take Bryce down, that's what they're going to be up against. So this is a whole larger issue. And then with Jessica, you see, he had the nerve to even approach Jessica and touch her and tell her that they should go out for a drink sometimes. And then we find out that he's dating the head cheerleader who offered Jessica a chance to be a flyer on the cheer team. So I'm guessing that Bryce made his girlfriend offer Jessica that spot to kind of appease her and to ease her back into it. So Bryce is real good at manipulation and coming off as a good guy, but he's really a scumbag, a major scumbag. So what else do we have here? The episode ends with, interestingly, with Tony, who's, that's not the Tony we're used to seeing. So I'm real interested in seeing where Tony goes from here. And then we see that Clay, not only is Clay seeing Hannah, but now she's talking to him. So where's that going to go going forward? Well, that's about the end for episode 1 of season 2 of 13 Reasons Why. I thought this was a really good episode, a really good start to the season, and I'm excited for it. So I'm going to watch episode 2, and I'll be back with another review. I'm also going to do another video on 5 burning questions heading into the rest of the season. So look out for that. Anyway, let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments, and what you're looking forward to for the rest of season 2. And make sure to subscribe to Altenor Media. Like the video and share the video. Once again, I'm Emmanuel. Peace.